Good evening, fellow Plexers who care about subtitles. So I'm going to try to do a quick video that does a little experiment with on-demand subtitles. But first I just wanted to show an example with a movie we're going to use, Gone with the Wind. You can see I have two copies here. One has a subtitle embedded and one doesn't. And I just ran this with MKV Toolnix to remove the subtitle. So I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to open it up. And you see that I could uncheck the subtitle if I wanted to get rid of it. And also I can adjust flags and names. So if I highlight it, let's slide this over, you'll see that when this video was created, somebody named the subtitle this way. So all I did was this, and I hit multiplexing, start multiplexing, and when it was finished, it wrote a new separate file, which was this one. So if I open this and pause it, I can't have a copyright strike. You'll see the subtitles there. And if I open this one and pause it, there's no subtitle. Well, it's not opening up too well, but you get the picture. So anyway, this is a movie with an embedded subtitle, and I'm going to use that as my example. So there's two Plex documents to consult. One is adding local subtitles to your media, and that means having a physical subtitle in these formats on your server in the same folder as your movie. SRTs will not transcode. They will not cause a transcode. If a video is going to transcode, it's going to transcode because either the bandwidth isn't enough for the full bit rate of the movie to play on the client app, or the client app isn't capable of decoding the audio or video stream. So if you've got a movie with the best audio you could have, Dolby or True Audio, and you're just using a plain Jane TV, well, that TV can't handle that high-end audio. So Plex has to transcode the audio because the client device itself is not compatible. So as long as everything else is compatible, an SRT subtitle is not going to cause a transcode. And this guide shows you how to name your subtitles. The ENG is for the English language, and that could be EN or ENG. Both are acceptable with Plex. I use FileBot to do a lot of automatic renaming, and with the right expression it will rename subtitles if you do a little prepping, and FileBot uses ENG, which is why most of mine are named that way. So this basically tells you how to name different subtitles. The default one would just be the language code, either 2 or 3 letters, .srt. And then again, a forced one would be for foreign audio subtitle or foreign language subtitles. It would be .en or .eng, .forced, whatever the subtitle is. SDH represents a hearing impaired subtitle. Now Plex will also accept HI for that, but if you open up a movie with a subtitle named ENG.HI.SRT in VLC, VLC will interpret it as the Hindu subtitle. So FileBot uses SDH by default and not HI, but just technically HI can be used in place of it, and Bazaar uses HI and not SDH. So I just thought I'd throw that out for anybody who is fooling around with Bazaar. So now here's a unique one. This is DE. I don't know if that's Dutch or whatever it is. DE, SDH, forced. So maybe this movie has some English speaking sections, and the force would apply for a language we don't associate as default when there's other languages spoken in that. So we're just not, Plex is not just for the English language speakers, it'll work no matter what your language is, as long as you name your subtitles correctly. And this is something else that is cool too. If you collect foreign films, you don't need to name the English subtitle first. You just need to name it by default, whether it's a hearing impaired or whether it's a default subtitle, because Plex knows if the audio track is in a different language, it will turn the subtitle on automatically if in your server settings you've set to load forced subtitles automatically. So foreign films with a forced subtitle loading set will just load the subtitle by default. That's maybe kind of confusing. So anyway, this is for physical subtitles, which could be inside the container or external in any form. Just the SRT ones by themselves won't cause a transcode. So then we have on-demand subtitles. And this is where the player device requests a connection to a subtitle already at Open Subtitles, and it may be a match or may not be. And we're going to talk about that in the Linux HTPC app when we start it. It's kind of a random subtitle. If you know where the movie came from, if say you acquired the movie from a release group and you happen to know it's a certain release group versus the other, well, some of the subtitles you'll see as a possible match through the on-demand one is going to list that. And this little graphic by Plex, if we watch it again, you'll see that the subtitles have kind of funny names to them. WebDL and things like that. You kind of get an idea of what to match to if you remember where you acquired the file from. So anyway, great references. Search on-demand subtitle or Plex on-demand subtitle and search local subtitles for Plex. And you'll get these two documents and they're a wealth of information. So let's minimize those and let's start the HTPC client app. So what I'm going to do is show you things on the server, the web app, and the HTPC client app, which opened up on the wrong monitor, but here it is. So I am going to search for Gone with the Wind because that already has a subtitle. Now, this isn't really made to use the keyboard and the mouse. Let me see, what am I doing here? Let me just do it this way, see if I have success. I'm not used to a non-QWERTY keyboard. Alright, so there it is. I just couldn't type it on the keyboard. You know, this is kind of nutty. I might as well just find it manually. So again, it's not a prepared video. Let's see how long this takes. About 5,000 movies here, folks. There it is. So, if I wanted to use the embedded subtitle, I would simply go here and select Subtitle Track and I turn it on. If I wanted to use Search for More, I would simply do this. Okay, and this is where knowing where you got the video from will come in handy to find a matching subtitle. So this Blu-ray.x264-Sinners, well, that's a release group. I'm not familiar with them, but it's a release group. So if we scroll down, we already had the clue of which release group it was from, Yiffy. if there was a subtitle marked Yiffy someplace in the file name, that might be a perfect match. These may be a perfect match, they may not be. Depends on whether it was ripped the same way my movie was ripped from. So we're just going to pick the top one. And we're going to play the movie just for a second. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit and stop it. And of course, I guess I'm not too used to this client app because I don't use it too often.
Be a girl with a healthy appetite.
What just?
Okay, so we're going to stop it.
What to think?
And you see over here that it's showing the English SRT Open Subtitles subtitle. So if it says Open Subtitles, it's an on-demand subtitle. So now I'm going to back onto this, and I'm just going to go to home, and I'm just going to start another video quickly.
Boy.
Okay, so you know I've used Plex on a dozen other videos, and I'm going to come back to Gone with the Wind, but now I'm going to do it on another client app. So I'm in the web client app, and I come back, and you see, even though it's a different client app, the same subtitle is still loaded. Now, it may match, it may not, but because I have a physical subtitle on the server, it just happens to be inside the container file, I can switch to that, and I can resume the movie.
Says what to think.
And these should be a matching subtitle. So now if I back out, alright, so I don't know what interface I'm using between the web one and the HTPC. If I back out, that's where the subtitle is going to be left, and I could leave this for 3 weeks, and whenever I come back to it on any device, it's going to be on the last subtitle I chose, whether it's a local one or whether it's an on-demand. And I could search again, and I could pick a different on-demand, and then again, if I stopped the movie and came back to it on another device that I'm signed in with, it's going to be there. Now, something to remember about an on-demand subtitle: if you have your friends and family on your server and you watch this movie and you connect to an on-demand subtitle, it does nothing for your friends or family. It does not move that subtitle to your server. Just as if you loaded your own local subtitle, it doesn't load it for anybody else automatically just because you have. Plex is very unique and remembers what each user does. Now, seeing that we're in the web here, we can go to our settings, and I gotta think a minute. I have to think a minute to see where this, remember where the subtitles are. They're under the language section, and I'm just blanking. There it is. So I have mine set to automatically select audio and subtitle tracks checked, and then the subtitle mode is show with foreign audio. So this will load any forced subtitle that's physically on the server automatically. It'll just be loaded up. So if a movie has some foreign language parts, just like Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime displays those subtitles automatically, so will Plex if it's on your server. Now there's other subtitles settings under Plex Web. I believe it's under Plex Web someplace. So under the player section, audio and subtitles, this refers just to the player app, not to subtitle server settings for yourself and your users. So this is similar to the subtitle settings in any client app. So we're not going to change things here to have them happen globally on the server. we have to be in the language section. So the specific question tonight by John was, what do you do to reset subtitles you've picked through the on-demand option? And the answer is nothing, because it's only for a movie you've previously watched. And if you're going to watch the movie again, you have to manually deselect that on-demand subtitle to choose a local subtitle if you now have it. But if you haven't watched a movie, let's pick something from my movie collection. Let me just go down to the P's and pick something. I don't know. Let me try Paddington. If I go to More and select Subtitle Track, I don't have a local subtitle for that. So that was a bad choice. Let me just try something else. Depending when I collected the movie would be whether I have a subtitle. My early ones, I was not concerned with subtitles, and then I become kind of nuts on subtitles, making sure I always had one. So this movie has one. It's not a forced audio subtitle or forced language subtitle, so it won't load by default, but it's simply a matter of turning the subtitle on and off as you need it. Plex simply remembers what you did last for only the current user, not for any other user. So there's really no magic to turn off any on-demand subtitle you might have loaded through the open subtitle connection. The whole idea of this is just to always get a subtitle. And the best way to do that is, let's open up an incognito window, go to Subscene. The best way to do that is simply to go here and let's click into Luck. That's been on a little bit. You can filter this by your country, so you start with that. And then if you've acquired the movie, you find the match from your release group, or simply based on runtime. If you rip it yourself, if this movie gets released on Blu-ray and you rip it yourself, your runtime is 1 hour, 45 minutes, and 24 seconds, you're pretty much assured that this is going to match. If you collect movies from this release group, you know that's probably going to be a pretty good match. And if you collect movies from, I don't see it, from this release group, you're pretty sure that's going to be a match too. And it just so happens that the two release groups I mentioned, the same subtitle is supposed to work for it. So come here and grab both your regular subtitles and your hearing impaired. And it may say HI removed. You may not have an option if a movie hasn't been out for long. And it also has forced subtitles when they're available. And if you only want to look for forced subtitles, you can sort for that. So you got a really good chance of getting a sync subtitle. And then if you rename them properly according to the movie, you can open them up in VLC and check for sync before you add the movie to your server. But unfortunately, John, there's no way to unflag any movie you've watched with an on-demand subtitle. If you want an extreme measure, you could create a new user account for yourself and all those flags would disappear because they would have never been set, but then you screw up your watch history on your original Plex account. I really don't think it's a big deal. If you've watched a movie, what does it matter that it was connected with an on-demand subtitle, because it was only for your viewing. It won't affect your viewers. And on the odd chance you're going to watch that movie again, simply switch to the local subtitle, because you would have had to gone out and gotten one for it anyway. And if you don't have a local subtitle for an old movie and you're not going to watch it anymore, you'd only be grabbing that local subtitle for your users to enjoy. But if Plex is just for you, like, just grab local subtitles with any new movie you put on. So if you rip your own movies, just go to Subscene, grab the right subtitles, name them correctly, and especially change that forced setting so they load automatically. So again, my videos do not have anything prepped with them. I just kind of throw them together last minute, and sometimes they work out perfectly and sometimes they don't. But this is just kind of a little exercise, mostly on how Plex remembers what subtitle you picked. And just like if a movie had three language options for the audio track, if you could speak English, Spanish, and French, and the movie had all three audio tracks, and you switched to one of them, well, whatever client device you log into next to finish that movie is going to remember what you did previously, because Plex is just smart as a whip that way. I hope this helps. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I love subtitles. I love learning about subtitles. I like a lot of British TV shows, and sometimes I just have to turn the subtitles on to know what the hell they're saying. If you're in UK, it's no offense. You guys make great TV shows, but sometimes I don't know what the hell you're saying unless I read it while I listen. So anyway, happy plexing, and get your subtitles right.